Hey guys, this is Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with another episode of 5 Hobby Questions. And today I'm delighted to have Kristina Thorsen from Cardladder with us. Kristina, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a privilege.
Before we came on air, I was telling you how impressed I was with your backdrop. It's fantastic. It's fancy. There's all kinds of stuff back there I wish I could bust into and get a hold of. A lot of that stuff brings back memories of boxes that I've opened. I know y'all love status. I see a status box somewhere back there. One of my favorites.
Few, yeah. Anyone who knows me knows I can't keep sealed wax in the house. Like, I rip it. So these are actually all ripped. Like, these are empty boxes. Sorry to burst everyone's illusion. I've ripped everything here.
Well, I don't blame you. I own very little sealed wax. I've gone through some sealed wax, but I own very little sealed wax. In fact, I think if I read your Instagram page right, you are a self-proclaimed degenerate pack ripper. Yes?
Yeah. Josh actually coined that phrase. Our business partner, and he gave it to me pretty early on, like even before Cardladder. He would just be like, what are you doing? Like, why are you wasting your money? Buy singles. You're a degenerate pack ripper. And he said it so negatively that, like, I kind of like laughed, and I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm going to own this. Without degenerate pack rippers like myself in the hobby, y'all wouldn't get your singles. So
you're welcome, Josh Johnson. You are welcome. Yes, exactly. Well, for those of you watching who don't know who Kristina is, you've been under a rock or whatever. So Kristina is part of the great Cardladder team that so many of us are familiar with and so many of us are appreciative of. Her full name, Kristina Thorsen, correct? Yes. And she is Kristina's PC, no apostrophe on Instagram. I don't even know if you can put an apostrophe on Instagram. So Kristina's PC on Instagram. If I had to sum you up, I would say huge Doncic collector, a girl from Cardladder, 2 cards away. Am I right on a Maxi Kleiber complete Prism rookie rainbow?
Not rookie. Well, it's his inaugural year in Prism.
Okay.
But he is actually he was signed in 2017.
Got it.
Yeah, so he wasn't actually a drafted player. So he wasn't in any of the flagship products until 2020. He has some rookie cards, which like I own a lot of from 2017, but none of the big products. So
yeah. So first year Prism, first year Maxi Prism.
Yes.
Got it. You need, and look, there's going to be probably 12 to 15 people that watch this, right? So just in case, they have neon green numbered to 5 disco fast break. And what else?
Bronze
fast break number to 20.
Also
yes.
Fast break disco.
I've always said that bronze number to 20 fast break is like the completely forgotten, super short printed serial number Prism card. Like, people don't even acknowledge its existence.
Yeah, it's, it rarely pops up, like, which is kind of funny, right? Because you see a lot of golds out of 10, like, often transact. But the out of 20 bronze, you would think you'd see at least half as many as the golds, if not, like, logically twice as many. But, like, let's just say, like, half as many gold transactions.
Not the case. No. I'm with you. I know. I agree with you.
So if anyone has any leads, I'm paying rewards for leads that, like, result in me getting those 2 cards. There are 46 variations of the 2020 basketball Prism rainbow, which is like way too many in my opinion.
Yes.
And I'm missing just those 2 now, and then I can have the whole run graded in sequential order, and then just pop them away in a box and consider myself done with the rainbow chasing.
There can't be many people out there with absolutely complete prism rainbows of any year, of any player, anywhere. It's a unicorn type deal. I tried it with Anthony Simons his rookie year, and he was dirt cheap, right? It's still it's unimaginable. I can't believe you're 44 out of 46. You're right there.
Yeah, I'm on the precipice. For football, it's a little more common to make the Prism rainbow set, and I believe like this year for what's this, 2021 football, there are 23 variations. So there are double the amount of variations between football and basketball, which is why we don't often see many basketball full rainbows.
For sure. For sure. All right, let's get cranking. We brought you on. We wanted to ask you 5 hobby questions. And if anybody's seen the prior episodes, they kind of have some idea of what the format's about. The first thing we like to do, and I've kind of talked about it generally speaking, but this is the hard part. You can talk like a caveman or a cave woman. You get 10 words, and you don't have to use adjectives or pronouns or any of that. Just 10 words that kind of describe, Kristina, where you fit in the hobby, how you belong to the hobby, and what you mean to the hobby, and what your endeavors, like just 10 words or less. And it's hard, right? I made it 10, not 100, because it's hard. So go for it. What you got? 10 words.
This was difficult, Brian. And I want to tell you, I made a list and then started crossing out like different words, like to try and narrow it down. And I think I got it. Okay, ready? Collector, MJ, Luca, Grails.
You said MJ and my phone went off. That was him. That was Michael. Again, I've got to silence it.
Okay, I'm going to start over. Okay, Collector, MJ, Luca, Grails, Kleiber, Super Collector, Entrepreneur, Ranting, Pack Ripper, Cardladder. And yes, I used like hyphens for those.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay. 10 phrases. You won. That's impressive. So my last guest was Emil Sarfani from Slab Talk. You did way better than him. He had like 47 words. So so you did a great job. I like your method of backing into it. You maybe had 25 and you backed down to the 10 most important. I love it.
It was difficult. I won't lie. But I had to include ranting because anyone who watches Crossover knows that like that's my job.
Well, people who are watching the show are probably going to see a little bit of ranting when we get to question number 5, but I don't want to jump the gun. We'll save that question for last. Question number 1, what part of working for Cardladder do you like the most?
Yeah. So this one is like a 2-parter. There's 2 that I like areas that I love my entire job at Cardladder, which is really amazing for me to say because I, like maybe many people who are watching this, was stuck in a job that I hated that wasn't in the hobby. And so every day I feel very fortunate to wake up and get to go to work instead of having to go to work, and being able to turn something I'm super passionate about, sports cards, into my career. The favorite like responsibility of mine for Cardladder though would have to be my interaction with the hobby, which is like between customer service, where I'm interacting directly with our members and users, and our business partnerships throughout different businesses in the hobby. It's the best part of my day.
Yeah, it's a 2-part question. So I didn't say that when we started. The second part of the question is, what part of working for Cardladder do you most wish you could delegate to someone else? Another word for that is, which part do you despise the most? If you can answer that question.
That's a great question. And it would have to be C1A. No, I'm actually like, I think it would confuse and surprise a lot of people. I'm actually pretty introverted, like naturally. And I sometimes hate to tell people that we can't help them, or like, I can't solve something for someone and they get frustrated, and then like I feel pretty like sad that I couldn't help them. So I think that's like the part I hate the most, is when like someone is complaining that their entire collection isn't in Cardladder, and I have to tell them like, there are only so many researchers who work at Cardladder, and like, here's how you can find your card in sales history, but like you have to do some of the work yourself until we can get to that card. Yeah. And understandably, people don't like that answer. And so I think that's what I hate the most, is like having to not be able to help people sometimes.
Fair answer. I like the answer. You want to help people and you want to do everything you can, and look at this fancy graphic I've got. See that number right there? 29,318 cards. Yeah. That's a lot of cards. That's a lot of manpower, woman power. That's a lot of power that's put in to put in 29,318. I remember when you guys first started, and I was thinking to myself, this is not going to be that helpful. I can only look up a few hundred cards. And then it grew, and I was like, it's still only a couple thousand. But then Cardladder 2.0 came out with sales history, and I was like, I don't need anything else. So you're continuing to grow the database with the verified cards, but sales, history just changed the game, and the indexes as well just really changed the game. It became an invaluable tool in the hobby.
Yeah, and we just added 4 new indices this week, which is awesome. Yeah. Yep. My favorite number on that dashboard is the sales added. So I think sales history is like my favorite, easiestly my favorite feature that we have on Cardladder.
No question. All right. Oh, by the way, out of those 29, this is question number 6. By the way, out of those 29,318, how many of those cards did you put in?
Not as many as Hoj. Yeah. Hoj. So Chris Hoj is definitely like the lead researcher at Cardladder. I think I'd have to check the actual number, but I think I'm sitting like somewhere under 10,000, like right around 10,000 of those cards. So like Chris is our CEO and lead researcher. Josh is our CTO. Then we have Nick, Stiff Arm Wax, who does our content and production, and our like social media. And then I do a bunch of other things. Like pretty much anything else that like falls under the purview of a business. Yeah. That doesn't fall in those 3 categories that I just listed for the boys, like would fall in my lap. So I was the COO, CFO, CMO,
Kristina, all around. You're the Draymond Green. You're the Draymond Green of Cardladder. You fill in all the gaps, right? You let them get the attention and all the stardom, like Clay and Steph, and then Draymond does all the dirty work.
Yeah, I like push people around and claw out their eyes and, you know yell at refs, and no one tees me up and throws me out of a game. I think I actually like that comparison, even though I don't like Draymond Green. Yeah,
I don't either. I didn't put a lot of thought into that. So if I insulted you, I apologize.
No, you're fine.
Moving on. Question number 2. Are you a grade snob like me?
I'm not. So like I'm okay. Like I think 9s are fine. Like totally fine with 9s. And I know like people probably just rolled their eyes at me, especially if they've seen my PC on Instagram. But if I can get a 9 for like 2/3 of the price of a 9.5 or a 10, I'm going with the 9 because I can then use that money to buy a different card too.
That's right. It's easier to grow your army when you're buying them at a lower price point. And by the way, 9 does have the word mint next to it, which is pretty good. You know, historically it was really good. So I think people have become more snobs lately. So when I answer this question, I say I am a grade snob when it comes to ultra modern, but when it gets back to the 90s and the Jordan stuff that we like to collect, you can't really be a grade snob there because some of those don't exist.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm okay with those PSA 5s, PSA 6s, with those like super difficult to grade cards.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Which card in your collection means the absolute most to you? What is the last card you would let go of? Someone would have to pry it out of your hands. The last card. It doesn't necessarily need to be the most valuable. The card that means the absolute most to you. It could be the most valuable.
Yeah, so this one was like really difficult for me, and I had like 2, and I kept trying to think like which one is Hoj, like would Hoj say, because I'll pick the other one. But I think I'm gonna have to go with my 18 Prism Gold out of 10 Luca, because that one set Chris and I on a journey beyond MJ collecting that really like you can actually like we documented through like House of Jordans and then through Kristina's PC and Chris Hoj Instagrams that you can like literally see our progression collecting Luca from December 2018 to today. Like we literally like have that whole journey documented, and it was a journey that like we went on together, which is like super awesome. Yeah.
I watched it. I could have answered the question for you. If it was another card, I would have been shocked if it was another card. I'm serious. I kind of watched y'all consolidate and build up and move, and they call it color up. You're not really coloring up, but you know what I mean? I mean, Christian, just building it to the top of the mountain. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that card. So that's an easy answer. That's a great answer. If I said you had to take on another PC, all right, we don't have to put Maxi and Luca on the side necessarily, but if you were going to grow another root like Chris has with a couple of different, football players and whatnot, if you had to grow another arm of your collection, who is the player that you would PC?
This is like coming back to what I told you before. Like, I'm a horrible decision maker. So, this hypothetical alone gave me anxiety because I'm in the process now of choosing a new PC.
Oh, are you?
And I've been like working towards it for the last like couple months now. And it's a hockey like player, and I don't have the hockey player yet, but I want to collect a hockey player. And I don't have a team or a player in mind. I've kind of been taking the end of the hockey season to do research and like, check stats, look at games, and look at like how people play. So, like I haven't narrowed it down yet, but it would definitely be a hockey player.
Interesting. Okay, but you're talking active player. Like you wouldn't mess with Gretzky or Lemieux or whatever. So
I would do active. It's so much more fun to watch when that's something we learned with Luka.
For sure.
Prior to Luka, we were collecting MJ, and it was just like, it was amazing, but you didn't have those up and downs every week.
Yeah, well, what you call entertaining, I call anxiety. So it depends. It's a give and take. But we got to get the great Jeremy Lee involved here and see if he can help you narrow that down, right?
Yeah, like I started with Ovechkin, like I think last fall I bought my first Ovechkin card, and it just wasn't doing it for me. So I like sold out of it and then like put that money away to the side to like buy something else.
Yeah.
And I still haven't found who I want to collect though.
Yeah.
So
well, you've narrowed it down to the sport, right? So now you're right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've got to get the last two Maxis before you start that. So that's will be my journey. I'm gonna get on that journey with you. We're gonna make sure we find them.
I appreciate everyone's help. I appreciate it.
For sure. For sure.
Easy.
The last question, and this is where we may see a ranting side of Kristina. What's the most important thing for Fanatics? And I think I might know the answer to this one. I could have answered these questions for you. What is the most important thing for Fanatics to change about the way that Panini is doing things right now? At this transition, what is the one thing you hope they change from the way Panini's been doing it?
Yeah, so I just want to change the question a little bit. And not just include Panini, but include all manufacturers prior to Fanatics taking over. And that's transparency. I want to know print runs. I want to know when athletes aren't signing their cards, and like I want to know who's the redemption in the product. I want to know everything there is to know about, like, I want to know who the artists are, and like I want to see the design process. I want to see content around the cards being made. And that's like kind of my favorite thing. And I very much look at cards as art. Which I think a lot of people know, but like I want to know the people who make them too. Like I want to know the designers. I want to know like my favorite cards the Topps does are the Tyson Beck. Yeah, I adore Tyson Beck. Like he's one of my favorite card artists. And I actually had the privilege of interviewing him previously, which was awesome. And then, the great Gene and Earl, Arena McLeod of Arena Design, like that was also a privilege. I've actually sat down with Gene a few times and talked about cards and like how she created things and why she did this or why she did that. And like those to me are so much more valuable as content than like some of the things that people put out about like, picks and things like that.
Yeah.
Or like their like favorite 100 cards that they own. Yeah. It's like, I don't like, that's nice. Like, but I want to know about the cards themselves.
Yep. Fair answer. And that is not the answer I was expecting. I really thought it was going to be like a 3-word answer: print less parallels. That's got to be somewhere up there, right?
That too. I think if we knew the print run, I think that people might get a little.
It goes hand in hand.
Vocal, with their reaction to it, and then it would have the ripple effect of, okay, like Fanatics being like, okay, the industry doesn't want this. Like, our consumers don't want the print run to be this high. Therefore, we'll have less parallels in this product. And like, this will be the retail product and this will be the hobby product, the collector's product, versus, you know, the card, like the packs that you can buy at a stadium.
Sure.
And like, that's kind of what I'm hoping the direction that they go into. And I hope that they continue to also really take into account what the hobby and collectors want.
Yeah.
And they just keep listening, because I think that they're doing a pretty good job now. At least it seems like it. Like, they're saying the right things. So,
yeah. Let's see. Saying and doing are different, but I'm cautiously optimistic, Kristina. I mean, I'm going to give them a chance until they, you know, they flop. They either flop or they fly. You know, let's see what Fanatics does. They've got a huge sample size, and the hobby is never short with opinions, right? There's a multitude of opinions, and so if they just keep an ear down to the ground and listen to the hobby, I think they're going to do fine. I guess the issue arises sometimes when what we want doesn't necessarily match up with, you know, balance sheets and things like that. And so they got to make some tough decisions.
Yeah. And I think that having like 2 tiers or multiple tiers of product would help with that.
100%. What about the kids? We got to get these kids. I want to buy my kids some soccer cards. They're huge soccer players. All I can do is buy tops, and those are $20 for a retail blaster, you know, with no hope of pulling anything really. I mean, in a tops, you know, soccer retail blaster. So I want a $3 pack like when I was a kid, you know, from the 80s and 90s. But I don't know if we can ever get back there. I don't know if there's a way to do that.
There's this little thing, Brian, called inflation.
Yeah.
Have you heard of it?
Yes. And 3 decades separating when I used to buy packs. So
yeah, like,
Kristina,
you should do the math. Like, $3 in the 90s is equivalent to what price today?
Yeah, I think it's
probably $20.
It is probably a $20 retail blaster. That's exactly right. So, look, thank you so much for joining us. It's super exciting for me. It's a privilege. I can't wait to meet you and Chris and Josh and everybody on the Cardladder team. Even Nick, if y'all let him out, we'll meet Nick as well at the national.
Yeah, he'll be there. He'll be recording. Yeah. Yeah.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. I'll have you on again, and we'll talk a little bit more in depth. I love hearing about you talk about the artistic side of it, because I am not the most artistic cat around. And that's where I fell in love with hobby content, was listening to you guys on the old House of Jordans. And you guys would use words I'd never heard of and speak so eloquently about the way these cards look. And I'm thinking to myself, I just want to know how much they cost and how much they used to be worth and how much they're going to be worth. And when you guys started talking about it, I was like, you know what? There's a lot more to this than just, you know, buying low and selling high. And I kind of fell in love with those House of Jordan shows, you know, just before the COVID shutdown. So I appreciate y'all doing all those episodes as well.
Yeah, thanks. And it was, like I said, like, it's a total honor to be on Cajun Cardboard. And thanks for having me on. Anytime, just let me know and I'll clear my schedule for you.
Awesome. Thanks, Kristina. Appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.